Okay people, check this out. So today I'm going to give you a little update on the van and show you how I installed these Thunderbolt locks. One of the biggest fears of living in a van is getting broken into, and lately it seems like it's a lot more common than it should, and it seems like it's getting easier. Some thieves break the window. Some thieves will pick the locks.
Key casement that goes on the outside. All they've done is pop that off, snap the black bit behind, which leaves them the key exposed. All it takes is 2 twists of the mole grips. My van's then unlocked.
And some thieves will even cut the external locks in matter of seconds. So in order to protect my van as best as possible, I decided to partner up with Thunderbolt. Full disclaimer, Thunderbolt sent me all these products in exchange for this installation video. Now the amazing thing about Thunderbolt lock is that it's all hidden inside the vehicle and can't be accessed from the outside, so the thieves can't pick it or cut it off. Also, there's 2 different options to operate the locks, either by using the existing factory key fobs or a separate key fob from Thunderbolt. Make sure to check out their website to see which model you would need for your vehicle. This installation was fairly simple, so let me show you how I install them in my Sprinter van. And for this video, I'm only going to be installing the sliding door locks as well as the rear cargo door locks. Let's begin. First, I removed the 4 screws on the top of the lock case and added support brackets to mount it in the van. Then I added 3-way Wago connectors to each of these 2 wires, blue and green. And then I can check the fit and make sure the wires can reach the factory wires and the lock housing to the back of the sliding door and mount it to the doors using self-tapping screws. I also removed the lock housing for the next step. Next, I can move on to installing the lock housing. I found a good spot on the back of the sliding door and checked to make sure nothing will be in the way once the housing is installed. I can then drill a 1-inch hole using a step drill bit and drill out the hole. I can then feed the wire through the hole and reinstall the lock housing. And for now, I can temporarily secure the housing plate with self-tapping screws. I can double check nothing is in the way and also adjust how much of the bolt sticks out by adjusting these 2 screws. It should stick out enough to strike into the other side. Thunderbolt includes these little black sticky gum, and this will allow you to locate where to drill the strike plate. So place the black sticky gum on the tip of your bolt and use the manual release knob to mark it. Now it's really hard to show you here, but make sure to check out their YouTube channel, and they have a really good detailed installation video, so you could kind of follow that. I can then drill out another 1-inch hole and double check to make sure the bolt will go into the hole when the lock is engaged. Unfortunately, I was a little off and I had to enlarge the holes just a little. But once the strike plate was on, you can't even see the mistake, and this is hidden where most people won't see it, so I can live with that. I can then use rivets to secure the strike plate permanently as well as the lock housing. Next, I can install the manual release knob. I located a good spot and drilled a hole. I can then feed the release wire through and secure it with a nut and a knob. Now, few things to consider when you're deciding where to place this release knob is to make sure it doesn't get in the way when you're opening and closing the doors. Also, it needs to be visible enough so that you could access it in case of an emergency. Now, moving on to wiring, like I mentioned before, I chose the option to use my existing factory key fobs. So the wiring was super easy. All I have to do is disconnect 2 wires and connect them to the 3-way Wago connectors. Now, my Sprinter van is the year 2020 model, and they might be using different color wires depending on your Sprinter van, but the blue wires connect to a baby blue black wires, and the green wires connect to baby blue brown wires. Double check on the Thunderbolt's website to make sure you connect to the correct wires. And after that, it should work with your existing factory key fob. It's hard to show you on this sliding door since you can't actually see the bolt, but you can see the manual release knob working and inside the lock case. And that's how I installed the Thunderbolt locks on the sliding door. Let me show you how I installed the rear cargo door locks, and you'll get a better idea of how the lock really works. First, I installed the metal support brackets to the lock case. I found a good location and mounted the lock case to the passenger side rear cargo door. I drilled a 1-inch hole for the lock housing and fed the wire through and reinstalled the lock housing and temporarily secured them with self-tapping screws. I also drilled a hole for a manual release knob and secured it with a nut and a knob. Now for the rear doors, the gap is much wider than the bolt can stick out. So Thunderbolt has these raised strike brackets for this exact situation. So I installed them accordingly and added rivets to secure them permanently to the driver's side rear cargo door. And then I can wire all the wires together, blue to blue black wires, and green to blue brown wires. And that's how I installed these Thunderbolt locks to my van. You can see the bolt engaging into the strike plate from the inside, but there's no way of knowing this from the outside. Just imagine having a dead bolt in your vehicle because that's exactly what this is. And I really like how simple and easy it is just by using my factory key fob to secure my van. Now, as for the front driver and the passenger doors, there's little more work involved since there's something called an isolation relay that you need to install. This is to prevent your Thunderbolt from engaging while you're driving since most modern vehicles will lock the doors when you go over a certain speed, and in case of an emergency, you would want the emergency personnel to get into the vehicle. And honestly, I didn't feel too comfortable installing them myself, so I found a certified installer from Thunderbolt's website that will be installing them for me shortly. And that's it for this video. If you own a vehicle and want to keep it secure and protected, check out Thunderbolt Locks. I'll have the links to their website in the description below, and check out their YouTube channel for more detailed installation videos. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video, subscribe to this channel, and comment down below what you think about these Thunderbolt locks. Thanks again, and until next time. Bye-bye.